Hello and welcome once again to Better Than Before, live online. I'm Dave Edelstein, your host here to talk about all things mindful, communicative, relating and connecting, and everything in between. I took sort of a break for the holiday weekend from talking about some of the more technical stuff that I get into sometimes. But I thought I'd return a bit to a theme I picked up at the end of last week about the difference between passive, aggressive, and assertive communication. And I thought I'd just take a little detour today to talk about what is probably the most hilariously awful, except it's sometimes not very funny, but it's definitely the most awful form of communication that anyone could cook up, which is the combination of the passive and aggressive forms known as passive aggression. People say, what is this passive aggression I hear so much about? And that sometimes we are often exposed to. Passive aggression is the combination of all the yielding dishonesty of the passive form of communication, where people pretend to go along with stuff that they don't go along with, refusing to represent how they really feel or what they really think, and combines that with all the lack of respect for other people's rights involved in aggressive communication. So this produces, hi, Kat. Kat saying, this is my mother. Oh my God, Kat. Yeah, this, we almost all of us know somebody who operates this way. It's absolutely the worst way for someone to deal. And at a certain level, if you're on the outside looking at someone behave this way, you go, "Oh my God, this is pathetic. What an awful way to go through life." And it is almost laughable, except when someone's doing it to you, because there's this real sneaky, dishonest component to it, where someone is, basically smiling to your face and stabbing you in the back, along the lines of the marvelous song of the 70s, The Backstabbers. What's happening here is that someone doesn't have the guts to stand up to you and say and represent what they really want. So they pretend to go along with what you want, or they say nothing. They just conceal, and they sneak around concealing how much they hate you, and how angry they are at you, and how badly they feel in relation to you, and they start plotting ways to take revenge. And you'll never see it coming because they never say anything. They're in disagreement with you, but you don't know. You may honestly believe, you probably don't believe that they're happy. You're around this person and you have this sense that this person is not happy to see me. This person does not really like me, but in terms of any particular issue, they're not disagreeing. They're going along, they're doing their thing, they're whatever, and everybody's playing along, and then all of a sudden the aggressive thing comes out. And this isn't the relatively honest aggressive thing of their passively grinding their teeth for some period of time and then they explode at you, which catches you by surprise. This is they are passively grinding their teeth, and they really are all this time looking for some way to hurt you. All of a sudden, you find yourself in some kind of terrible situation, embarrassment, humiliation, being called out for something that you didn't actually do, because this person has sneakily set you up. To me, one of the finest examples of passive-aggressive behavior in relationships is cheating. I don't know if this meets the classical definition of passive aggression, but it has the components. You think you have a relationship, and you think it's a trusting relationship, so you trust the other person. You believe that you are not cheating, so they are not cheating. That you have a relationship that excludes being with another person. And you're going along, and maybe you realize that your partner isn't happy, but nothing specific is being said. You're not fighting, either fairly or unfairly. Or maybe there is a certain low-level fighting, but, you're trusting that problems will work themselves out, or things are what they are, but you're relying on your trust in the other person that this is a monogamous relationship. And all of a sudden, one day you wake up and you find out it isn't. And for most people, this causes anything from some suffering to really a great deal of painful suffering. This is the aggressive component. This passive-aggressive person has not necessarily involved themselves in an affair or an unfaithful act specifically to hurt you, but they knew it would. They knew it would. They knew that you were counting on them not to do this. And so they have not actually confronted you to say, I'm leaving you, I've had enough, our relationship has broken down, I no longer feel committed to it. They just let things go along, however they've gone along, and do something that's clearly out of bounds, and that they are probably pretty sure you are not doing. That they take this pain-inducing liberty and lay it on you. And very often, do people admit to having affairs? Do people come home after the first night of, their first day or their first experience of being with another person during your relationship and say, hey, I hadn't, I slept with somebody today. I was involved with somebody today. I did this sexual act today. No, they let it drift. They're not honest about it. They let it go along and go along and go along. And one day, maybe after a year or 2 years, you finally figure it out. Light dawns. And all the pain that goes with it. It's rotten behavior. It's rotten behavior. If a relationship is going to recover from infidelity, it will certainly require that the person who was unfaithful at least apologize. There will be no reconciliation without the other person can say, well, my needs weren't being met and this and that and the other. But this is an aggressive act, and it has to be apologized for. You can't blame the victim entirely. Yeah, there's problems in the relationship that have to be worked out. But if you engage in something passive-aggressive, like having an affair, having an extra partnership relationship, you got to pay the piper. You've got to own up to having done it. And if you want your relationship to continue, you have to apologize and admit that it was wrong, that it was not an honest way to deal with the relationship problems. After that happens, there may be an opportunity to deal with relationship problems honestly. Sure, there's work to be done. But yeah, there are plenty of ways for people to be passive aggressive. Sometimes parents, as Kat points out, parents are passive aggressive with children. Children can be passive aggressive. Teenagers can be monsters of passive aggression, that they won't say anything at all. And then all of a sudden you find out that your child's doing all kinds of out of bounds behavior that contains elements of wanting to be hurtful to the family, wanting parents to suffer. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Anyway, so this should give you some clue into passive aggression. Don't do it. It's not a good way to go through life. We need to be forthright. We want to be strong, upright people, able to confront people with bad news, able to say that something isn't working, that something needs help, that something needs improvement, and honestly work on it. Put our own backs, put our own sweat and blood into working on it too. It's never only the other person. So yeah, keep your aggressions to yourself. It's never a good plan. So yeah, I've got a lot of feedback here from Kat and Gary. Yeah, Gary, you know, an apology alone won't do it, but it's a necessary starting place. No question about it. Okay, I hope you'll like and share this, and check in again tomorrow when I'll cook up some other valuable information about communicating, relating. Talk to you then. Good night now.